are marketed as a student of Imam Siraj Wahaj.
I mean, that's not a lie. I mean, I'm actually his best student. I was never his favorite student. I was always his best student.
Everyone thinks that they're the best.
No, he's called me his best student publicly.
I wanted to help the Palestinian by the way that I have been taught as a Pakistani man, is that I take money from my pocket and I give it to you. And I put my hands up and I'm like, yo, that's it. My duty is complete. But I tried to give this guy money and he said no. And I was confused. He took me by the hand. He took me to a shop. He said, buy something. Tell me about being a chaplain.
Chaplaincy is based on 4 things that Muhammad Peace mentioned. He said that there are 4 types of people whom Allah will rescue from the fire. There are 4 types of people whom Allah will command the fire to not consume on the day of standing. Number 1, those who care about other people. Number 2, those who are patient with other people. Number 3, those who sacrifice themselves to serve other people. Number 4, those who make the lives of other people better, easier. Those who make the lives of other people easier. So all 4 of those things are what I use in my arsenal as being a chaplain. So when I'm at work as a chaplain, I literally get paid to be Muslim. Literally because of those 4 things. Because by Allah's mercy, every single time Allah allows me to be at work, operating, functioning as a chaplain, I literally manifest all 4 of those qualities that the Prophet mentioned.
MashaAllah.
Literally every single time.
So tell me what a normal day at
There is no normal days.
Like what?
Every day is different.
Up, tell me what? Okay, tell me what happened with you this week. Like Monday, what happened?
Well, this week there were patient deaths, which is not uncommon in a hospital setting, right? Hospital deaths are always something that is very weighty on the mind and heart in terms of the patient's loved one, the patient's staff, even ourselves as chaplains. Death is very common in our profession. I mean, just like in life, right? We live to die, right? Just like Allah says in the Quran, every soul shall taste death, right? But that's the most uncomfortable taste of anything that we will ever experience via the mundane, right? So death is something that we always expect, but never want to experience. And I tell people all the time, as a pun, I tell people all the time, Malakul Maut, the angel of death, is one of our coworkers. Because that's what, as a Muslim, right? As a Muslim, especially as a Muslim chaplain, you can literally feel the presence of the angel of death in a healthcare setting, at work, like quite literally. Like even if someone is not dying on my shift, even if someone doesn't die on my shift, I can literally feel the presence of the angel of death at work, more so than any other part of my life in the day. Because when you're in a hospital, you're so close to dying and death. You literally sense it. You literally feel it. Sometimes, like even before I get a page to visit a patient who is dying or who has died, sometimes it's like that gut instinct that like twists you inside, and you get a feeling that it's going to be a bad call. And as Allah would have it, sometimes it ends up being a bad call.
Yeah, and as you talk about it, my heart kind of sinks and my breathing kind of slows. And
I see it in your eyes. I see it in your face.
Dialforlaw.com. 833-DIAL-FOR-LAW. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. For all your legal needs, dial for law. Injured? Dial for law. Hurt at work? Dial for law. Arrested? Dial for law. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. 833-DIAL-FOR-LAW. Dialforlaw.com.
So we were talking about chaplaincy. So he was asking me about my chaplaincy experience. Obviously, you and I, we both share that that profession, but in different capacities. So I've done almost exclusively healthcare chaplaincy. I've also done prison chaplaincy.
Yeah.
You've done university chaplaincy.
Yeah, I was a hospital chaplain at Hartford Hospital for a year and a half.
Oh, you did do healthcare chaplaincy. Okay,
So
okay.
I was there I had just finished a unit of CPE.
Okay.
And then afterward, my supervisor told me, "Can you stick around as a Muslim chaplain?" And I was like, "Well, I had to work something out where I got more units of CPE.
Right.
Plus, he paid me to be the only Muslim chaplain.
Okay, mashallah.
And then I transitioned into campus chaplaincy.
So, since you mentioned that you once did healthcare chaplaincy, then you switched to university chaplaincy, from your vantage point, what's the similarities? What's the difference? And which do you personally prefer?
Yeah. So the easy part is what I personally prefer. I prefer campus chaplaincy, and one of the main reasons is I love the minutes that sometimes you get in healthcare chaplaincy. Nothing replaces it, because you sometimes get one conversation. That conversation is at such a moment of transition that you can provide so much grounding. That's amazing. But I would oftentimes feel that there's no closure, because you have a conversation with someone and then you don't know where the prognosis went. So you don't know what happened, and to me, that took a huge chunk out of my. It felt like my heart. In campus chaplaincy, one of the things I love is you're talking about to young people who are still discovering themselves. And one is they haven't reached their peak. In healthcare chaplaincy, is oftentimes I want to get back to this state. I want to get back to this state.
Right.
But in campus chaplaincy, I want to get to somewhere
Continue
that I've
to evolve. Right.
And you get a lot more time with someone to see them evolve over their years and grow into the intellectual maturity. So they both have, of course, a huge amount of rewarding aspects to it. I could never say which one's more valuable, but I know which one I'm better equipped to handle, and it keeps me going for longer. It has been campus chaplaincy.
Right.
So I've been continuing as it. I still dive into hospital chaplaincy once in a while because there's a bunch of local hospitals, and they don't. Muslim chaplains are such a rarity. Like, this is a rare commodity right here. So we still get called in, but that's not what I do primarily.
Okay,
And Khalid just left NYU.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, Khalid Latif,
20 years.
He set the diamond standard for university chaplaincy.
Yeah,
he really did.
I mean, Imam Khalid is a built like a
Are you
institution in of itself.
thinking about taking a job in New York? What's the scene?
Alhamdulillah, the students at Rutgers, the community there, the alumni, it's such a
I don't think you're gonna want to move to New York City.
Yeah, one is I've never been a huge fan of New York City. But the other is
I think you're a suburbs kid, man.
Yeah, but mashallah, he set the golden standard, and also he in many ways set a model that cannot be replicated anywhere else. I'm glad he's still going to be close by.
Yeah, Khalid Latif is one of those guys, like all of us are expendable, but everyone is not replaceable.
Yeah,
Khalid Latif is definitely one of those.
Look at those one-liners.
Yeah,
he's not replaceable.
I'm glad he's going to be close by, and he's still going to be doing a lot of what the center started.
Realistically, he's still going to be active just in another capacity.
Right?
The irony is that they're going to be on the same block as one of the old locations of the IC, which was in the basement of a church.
Yeah.
Allah made everything just come full circle.
And he won't have the restrictions.
Right.
That's a lot of what it came down to.
Yeah.
I mean, this is across campuses all across the country.
It's just politics.
Sort of redefining things, what you cannot say.
What you should not do. Yeah. Right. All of that. Yeah.
That's all. I'm happy for him.
So it's much more autonomy. He's able to function with a lot more agency.
But reading that email, though, hurt. Like, a lot of us across the country, a lot of the chaplains would read it. It's like, oh, that's an institution that's somehow changing in a significant way. So it was a telling of the times.
Yeah.
I think it was a changing of the guard, right?
Yeah. Like, not just that, it was an ending of an era.
Also, he understands 20 years at a place, that's usually a good sign of a place to
move on.
Pass on.
Yeah.
And move to your next stage in life. And,
yeah.
Sometimes I don't know how long I want to be a lawyer. I mean, this guy is an early Bitcoiner. So early that we went to his house for a National Shura meeting in YM. And this is, subhanAllah, time passes by so fast.
Yeah.
It's 12 years ago since I retired from YM and you were the national coordinator. And we had a National Shura meeting at his house, and he was showing us the Bitcoin mining equipment. It was $20.
Less than that. I think it was like $4 at that time.
Shamoun, who was at the Bitcoin session yesterday, started buying Bitcoin when it was under $1.
Wow.
And you got to come to the Muslim Bitcoin Summit next year. You need to be a Bitcoiner, a Muslim Bitcoiner. I've joined the Bitcoin Majlis. Did I ever tell you my Bitcoin story?
No.
Okay. So in Ramadan of 2017, Trump 1.0, okay, there was no White House iftar. There was an iftar on Capitol Hill from PAC, the Pakistani American Political Action Committee.
Interesting.
And they invited me. So I showed up. And when I got there, I met Ahmed Bukhari, Saad Ahmed, and Hisham Zayed.
They were all there in Capitol Hill?
They were all there
Wow.
at the iftar. Okay. When we were there, Ahmed Bukhari was like, Subhan, you need to understand about Bitcoin. Like, particularly me. He's like, you need to understand about Bitcoin. You're an ICNA guy, you're a YM guy, you are a lawyer, you need to understand about Bitcoin. He did not let me go home that night. I was supposed to drive back to New York. It was Ramadan. I was supposed to drive back to New York. He said no. He forced me to come to his house. I had to send my car back with a friend of mine. He forced me to come to his house. He talked to me about Bitcoin for 6 hours until Fajr.
Yeah.
He showed me all his mining equipment. He said, Subhan, you need to understand. He literally shook me. Literally, he shook me. He said, Subhan, you need to get it. I was like, yeah, man, whatever you're talking about, man. I got Zelle, I got Cash App, I don't need this stuff, whatever. And then that same month, subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you signs. In my life, in your life, I'm sure. Allah
In our lives.
in our lives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you signs. And so, subhanAllah, that same month in Ramadan 2017, I went to Jordan during the last 10 nights with Helping Hand. And I saw Palestinians. And they were distributing food. And then I visited Jerusalem during the last 10 nights of Ramadan to visit Masjid al-Aqsa. SubhanAllah. And while I was there, you want to help the Palestinians. While I was there, I wanted to help a Palestinian by the way that I have been taught as a Pakistani man. The way I've been taught as a Pakistani man or as an American is that I take money from my pocket and I give it to you. And I put my hands up and I'm like, yo, that's it. My duty is complete. I did my job, right? I gave you the money, right? That's it.
Or so you assume.
Right? That's what I've been taught, as a child, the propaganda or the training. But I tried to give this guy money and he said no. And I was confused. He took me by the hand. He took me to a shop. He said, buy something. And as my mind was blown. Here's this man. He doesn't even have a country.
Yeah. He's stateless, realistic.
And he wants dignity and honor and respect that comes along with a halal income.
Yeah.
And I am from Pakistan, a country filled with beggars, where the prime minister of the country says that beggars can't be choosers.
That's
right?
wild.
Yeah.
Deadass. Right?
Yeah.
And this is a guy who doesn't want it. But when I go to buy something from him, it's in Israeli shekels.
Yeah.
And that's when the light bulb of Bitcoin, of what Ahmed Bukhari was saying, is hit. That this thing was right.
Yeah. But that's
and then yesterday, I learned from brother Maher, you may know Maher, from New Jersey. Maher and his brother Yusuf.
Yep.
They are the owners of the only Muslim-owned Bitcoin exchange, Coinbits, that the Palestinian shekel is not even equivalent to the Israeli shekel. And they inflate the Palestinian shekel and they confiscate it and they debase it and they do whatever they want with it. Mm-hmm. And the Palestinians cannot even redeem at the Israeli bank.
Well, yeah. Even if you go to simple apps, I'm actually supposed to be in Quds right now, but my trip got canceled and postponed. But if you go onto the same app to get cell service, the exact same cell service is $35, like US dollars, for the Palestinian one, just to click Palestine. And then if you click on the Israeli side, it's $3.
Dial4law.com. 833-DIAL-FOR-LAW. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. For all your legal needs, dial for law. Injured? Dial for law. Hurt at work? Dial for law. Arrested? Dial for law. For law, dial for law. for law. Dial for law. 833 dial for law. Dialforlaw.com.
It's the same service.
It's a riba by default, by definition. It's extortion. It's a ripoff.
Yeah. No, but subhanAllah, you're absolutely right about
And
this.
that's when the light bulb of Bitcoin has gone off. So our US dollar is a riba-based fiat currency.
Yeah.
I mean, all capitalism as we know it,
And
but
so,
specifically U.S. currency.
as Muslims, we have a duty to like do something about it. And as a chaplain, as a I'm doing it to you, like Kaiser, you need to understand Bitcoin. You get it. You understand Bitcoin.
I've been talking
You've
about the
understand the
Byzantine
Bitcoin
problem and the Byzantine fork since 2014, 15.
Yeah. So then,
No, I think.
So what is stopping you from like evangelizing about Bitcoin?
One of the ways
or making Bitcoin Dawah.
Bitcoin, I am telling you, is a Dawah. Have you read the Bitcoin Standard?
I have.
Okay.
Inshallah, Mufti Azimuddin is one of the sweetest.
They want to launch. Dar es Salaam sent representatives to the Muslim Bitcoin Summit.
Yeah.
They want to launch a $10 million Muslim Bitcoin, a Bitcoin strategic reserve for Dar es Salaam. Let me tell you, bro.
One of the best explanations of blockchain that I've ever seen is the original. Is the way this ISNAD system works is technically a blockchain. It's decentralized form of validation that each individual node does not actually get controlled by another node. It's so beautiful because it's based on a principle of verification.
Yeah.
So that's what we.
That's the entire concept of the Muslim.
Islam is pure.
Yeah.
Like the ecosystem, like the
natural environment.
How Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is a Dawah. It is a Dawah
because it represents financial freedom.
No, it is for me to give you the news and the information. It is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to change your heart.
Right. No, I get it.
True.
I get it. Yeah.
The people who are into Bitcoin, it is a Dawah.
Yeah, I can see it.
And so we are trying to organize a global ijtima on Bitcoin within 2 years.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin Majlis. You got to join the Majlis. Well, how people fix their credit? Yes. Take the white card. Right here on this side. This for the credit? Yeah. I got you. Mufti Taqi Usmani has said that Bitcoin is not jais.
Oh, wow.
This was an old opinion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but
he has never
Bitcoin is not what?
Jais.
Not jais, because all people heard about in the beginning was like, oh, it's for like
yeah. But he's never,
but
he's never updated his thing, right? Mm-hmm. In August of 2020, I met Mufti Taqi Usmani on an airplane from Karachi to Islamabad. I usually pay for the first seat on a plane because I want to get off the plane
as quickly as possible,
right? Especially in Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
When I got to the airport, they gave my seat to someone else, and I was very upset. When I got on the plane, I found out it was Mufti Taqi Usmani. So I said, Mufti Saab, Assalamu alaikum. You're in my seat. No problem. I'm not upset. Okay? But when we're in the air, I'm going to come talk to you. And you got to give me a few minutes. I think that's just fair.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's just
even
fair.
then negotiating.
Right? So...
Maimon.
So...
He always trying to strike a deal.
So I was like, okay, let's make it happen, right? So I went to Mufti Saab. I said, Mufti Saab, your fatwa is that Bitcoin is not jais. But there were many, many things in history. You said not haram. You didn't say haram. You said not jais.
Yeah.
Okay, very big difference. Not haram and not acceptable. Very different things.
Yeah.
Okay?
Depending on the context.
I know. But let me.
That's kind of like loopholing it.
That's how attorneys work. We think about the words, what they mean, and then we ask a specific question to clarification.
For him, his history is to have a very big
exactly.
Yeah. So he used the word not jais. So I asked him, Mufti Saab, there were lots of things that used to be not jais.
No.
The printing press,
big one.
mobile phones,
microphones,
TV,
phones,
coffee,
internet. Right. Yeah.
azan on the loudspeaker.
Yes.
we grew up in an era where we heard Sudais and Shu'aim, the imams of the Kaaba. We don't really have recordings of the Imam of the Kaaba before that because it didn't really exist. We have here and there.
It existed very minimally.
Videos of Abdul Basa Abdul Samad, and those are like grainy old black and white videos from the 70s.
Really mediocre quality, right?
Yeah.
So this all changed. The technology had already existed.
Yeah.
By the time we heard the audio recordings, like I'm sure in the 60s and 70s they had audio recordings by then, but they didn't exist in the sense that the ulama said it's not jais.
Yeah.
So, but there came a time where the ulama got together and said, "Hey, this is gonna be jais now." So, Mufti Sahib, please tell me, when will it be jais?
Mm-hmm.
And he said in Urdu first, and I'll translate for you. He said in Urdu, he said, "जब तमाम मुल्क दुनिया में बिटकॉइन को इस्तेमाल करेंगे करेंसी के तौर पे तब जायज होगा." When all of the countries around the world use Bitcoin as money, then it will be jais.
That's an odd standard.
And I said to him, Mufti Saab, what are you saying to me, man? You're telling me that you're waiting for the kafir to come to you.
Closing 11 p.m.
So you're going to wait for the
Bazaar will
kafir
be
to come
closing
and tell
11 p.m.
your thing? And he
Also,
said,
I have a
okay.
missing child
And he said,
in the
this is
control
my
room,
ruling.
room 200.
And you know, last year in January of
Control room
2024,
200.
the U.S. government put out a ruling equivalent of a fatwa.
Yeah.
A secular fatwa. Yeah.
That corporations can buy and custody Bitcoin on behalf of their customers.
Yeah.
Right. And so BlackRock,
The U.S. has its own Bitcoin, by the way.
BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, the name of the company is literally Hajr Aswad.
Interesting. Oh yeah.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, literally. Yeah. Blackstone, BlackRock, all of that. Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
Went out and bought all the Bitcoin. Like not all Bitcoin, but a lot of the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right? Now it's only a matter of time until BlackRock goes to Mufti Saab.
It says, look.
And Mufti Saab are like, yo, can you make our Bitcoin jais? Let me tell another quick story before I get your reaction.
Yeah.
In the way that money used to work on the gold standard is that you traded your work, you worked and you traded your work for gold. You would accumulate the gold, and over time, the value of the home would get cheaper in gold terms.
That's the true sense of equity.
That's how it would work. Gold terms, the value of the gold would go up, the value of the home would go down. Why? Because there was so much land, they just kept building homes, the value of the home would go down.
Yeah.
So you accumulate enough gold to buy the home, right? It made sense. In 1971, the U.S. government moved off of the gold standard.
During the Nixon administration.
Right? And so since then, no
It's only
matter
been
how
fiat.
much you were saving,
Yeah.
the value of the homes went up significantly, crazily faster.
Yeah, and it's like
And so
And that's one of the reasons why the real estate market crashed.
And so the ulama got together and said, hey, if we don't do something, then the Muslims will not be able to buy homes in the West.
Yeah.
And they need to buy a home if they're going to live there to do dawah, to do work, right? That was the logic. And so the ulama got together and had an ijtama. And Mufti Taqi Usmani came to my masjid, the Muslim Center of New York, and gave a fatwa that Islamic home mortgage was now jais. And what happened in the last 15 years since then?
There's been
Every Muslim has gone
Islamic
out and
finance
bought a
boom.
house.
Yeah.
I think the legal argument here, though, is he's using the idea of zururiyat, right? That they're doing it out of desperation almost because there is no other alternative. Which again, I see two sides. One is that's my most forgiving reaction. My cynical reaction is
that it's a cop out, right?
Sami Hamdi coined this called the Ansahih Bukhari. And what he means by that is you have to wait for a non-Muslim source to verify something before the Muslim.
No, he mentioned that in his speech last night. Yeah.
That also sounds like so. It's my generous one. He's waiting for it to come up yet because you cannot avoid it because it's.
But you know,
it's so widespread. Right.
Even if you were to have kept buying home, even if you were to have kept on the gold standard, and you moved off the dollar standard, and you saw it that you should have just kept buying gold as money,
Yeah.
Homes have still gotten cheaper in gold terms, even today, than before.
Yeah.
Because gold went from $20 an ounce in 1971 to $3,400 an ounce
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah.
So if you were just accumulating gold all these years,
so you would have came out on top. Yeah.
you would
Yeah.
have just bought the house. But Islamic finance is about trying to make the halal pork rinds
Yeah.
and their
Yeah.
Sharia compliant pork.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They want the
But see,
yellow
most
cow.
most
We're not
people
leading. Yeah.
but most people that work in
We're
that
trying to
field
take a haram
never
product and
admit this
halalify it.
conversation.
Yeah.
They won't admit it. Yeah.
We're taking a haram product and we're halalifying it.
Yeah.
They're sprinkling
Trying
some,
to
sprinkling
halalify
some
it.
zamzam.
They're trying to
And
Islamize
we're-
something
yeah,
that
we're
can't
trying
be
to
Islamized
sprinkle
under
some zamzam.
under the present circumstances.
It's like the 0% alcohol Heineken. Like
Yeah.
You're
You're
still-
Yeah. That's the dumbest thing. I hate
you're
that.
such a wannabe. Like, come on.
Because it's just
Like,
it's
leave.
very
no,
He's
no,
proud of your
not just
culture.
that. Not just
Like, I'm
that.
proud. Sorry, what's it?
You're
I'm proud
still
that they've
funding
launched this
the
date
company
soda.
that produces alcohol.
yeah.
So you're still spending your money with a haram institution, with
Yes,
a
you are.
haram business.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether they sell a offshoot halal product. The company itself is still inherently a haram business.
Yeah.
So you're still supporting a haram business in principle.
Yeah.
Dialforlaw.com. 833 dial for law. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. For all your legal needs, dial for law. Injured, dial for law. Hurt at work, dial for law. Arrested, dial for law. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. 833 dial for law. Dialforlaw.com.
No, I mean, it gets into the core of one of our principles of our deen is certain things were made prohibited or at least makruh because they were imitating those who are trying to promote a different worldview than us. And subhanAllah, this seems like no different.
So where do we go from here as an ummah?
The lines are so blurred. That's
Because
why.
I'll tell you, I'll give you the speech, Kaiser, like Sammy says. Ooh, Kaiser, woo. Gary, I was about to say Musa. Gary, you guys, like what's the move for the ummah?
Good question. I'll say on a personal level, the reason I haven't necessarily went on the pulpit in the same way that you have, mashallah. I've seen it from just WhatsApp groups and random groups, mashallah. But it's been,
one of our guys, one of our Muslim Bitcoin, the guy who's Muslim Bitcoiner on Twitter, says not only is Bitcoin halal, Bitcoin should be wajib.
Yeah.
Like Islam.
I think it's an interesting argument.
How are you? Yes.
It's yeah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Good. Tomorrow you should come be on my show. I'm
This one.
recording.
Yeah.
I'm recording. I'm starting a podcast. You're gonna be on my podcast.
Sure.
Inshallah,
Yes,
come.
inshallah, yeah.
Anytime between. No
No.
makeup. Makeup is not jais. You're too beautiful as it is.
You don't give a fuck about the woman.
You're so beautiful as it is. MashaAllah. Tabarakallah. Allah Ta'ala give you Allahumma barik. MashaAllah. You don't need it.
How is your daughter? Daughter, right?
One daughter, one son.
MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah.
My son is 19 months. My son was born October 13th.
Oh, subhanAllah.
6 days. That's why I never posted. I felt bad.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's hard. It's hard to be happy when 6 days after I see so much of what's happening in just directly my son.
Yeah.
He's 19 months old. It's exactly from what a child. My son is growing in a normal child with lots of toys and a loving family and a home and a roof over his head, and a child in Gaza is being slaughtered, and their father and their mother are being killed, and they're being starved to death, or a 4-year-old boy starved to death yesterday. And I can't. The one thing, there is.
It happened to me when we bought the house. We bought the house and closing on December or something
Yeah.
like that. And at the same time that they bombed Iraq.
Yeah.
And I remember I couldn't go inside my house. I felt so guilty because it was a brand new house. And New York.
Part of the reason I started going to Pakistan so much. I went for 2 months this year. So already. is that I don't have an answer yet for why, on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask me, you were here taking part in a US dollar monetary system and giving taxes to a country that was actively taking your money and killing Muslims. So how and active not only a part of the system, actively engaged as an officer of the court, taking part, trying to make more and more and more dollars so that I can give more and more of the money to the government so they can kill more and more of my brothers. And so that's what Bitcoin is. It's a way to opt out of this system of endless money printing. The reason why they can do this is because they have access to the money printer. They take the money, they trade it for bombs. They trade the bombs that kill the Muslims and kill the people to enforce the same dollar thing. You have to use our dollar. They use the money to buy the weapons that makes them use the money. And force the people to use the money.
I was lobbying with Peace Action and Naya last year, and during that lobby we had a session and speaker. There was one speaker and he's lawyer like you, and he said it's called escrow account or something. You put your own taxes there. He holds your tax.
Yeah, escrow. Yeah.
You don't give it to the
Like
government.
offshore accounts, they have them in like in the Cayman Islands, different parts of the world, Switzerland. They do that to it's like a form of tax evasion.
But we have a USA.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to know about that.
We need to find a good accountant for the Muslim community, man. Someone who's like a movement-oriented person who's like, hey, look, you should be our duty to pay less in taxes, right? The U.S. Supreme Court has said there is no obligation for you to pay more taxes than is legally required. So you just need to make sure that yours is less legally required. How can I reduce my legally required amount that I have to give?
Inshallah.
Yeah.
I guess I've become like the Bitcoin.
It sounds like you're
I've thought
The
about
share of Bitcoin.
peddler.
I've thought about recently just like spending all my time on like trying to orange pill the Muslim Ummah, because like I have my firm. I can hire someone to work at my firm who's much more passionate about being a lawyer than me right now. And
my honest answer as to why I haven't gotten in is the last literally since you and I were in my last role was actually why I'm national coordinator. Then I shifted into chaplaincy. I've just been talking to people, and I actually have not gotten into like the commodity in basically any sense. It's not a good excuse, but it's like that's honestly why I haven't.
You gotta see this as like the resistance. The money resistance is the greatest resistance.
I see.
You're not gonna get anywhere by skipping a Starbucks coffee and a burger at McDonald's. Let's face it.
Right.
But like, if you can systematically take yourself out of the riba-based U.S. dollar-based riba currency.
If you're able to do it Islamically, you must do it.
It's wajib.
If you're no, that's what I mean. You must do it.
I've been teaching a history of or survey of Muslim civilizations for the past 12 years, and every single time when we get to the end of it in colonization, the major thing that happens is there were certain groups, like East India Company, that figured out that all you can need to do is commoditize people's work into something we can sell, and people's output became
the product. That's why social media is free.
That's why when people ask the question, why did the Muslim world fail? The easy answer to that is we also did rule an empire, but one thing the empire never did was extract resources. The biggest resource was actually human resource.
Right.
I'm not talking about slavery.
I know what you mean.
Economic output.
Why you look at me when you said that?
But
I know what you mean. I know.
I'm like human. That's what they're going for. No, it's like the entire human output. We always return that back to the people because as Muslims we're supposed to. This is written by Allah. But if you had people that didn't care about that and thought your word is for them, That's wrong.
But that's why zakat, that's why taxation is obligatory.
Yeah.
So the point is to keep the vast majority of the people in a financially dignified state. That's why zakat, that's why taxation is an Islamic mandate. To prevent things like financial destitution, financial extortion. And this is why riba, financial extortion, is a sin.
I think I
That's
gave
why
you the spiel.
Muslim empires
quickly,
went
but
forward, but they never colonized in the traditional sense.
Right.
The only person who can do that is someone who doesn't think of you as human.
Right.
A religious
Now, there's a
they never
difference
do
between,
that.
there was always a difference between Islamic expansion
Mhm.
and colonization, because people forget Al-Islam was never spread by the sword. Islamic governance was spread through conquest, but not Al-Islam. Because if that were true, there would be no non-Muslims in the subcontinent.
Yeah, and I'm even talking about the economic system that we're
Right.
talking about here.
Yeah.
Like, we never extracted economics, and that's the system we're living in right now. And unfortunately, it seems like there are certain states that have Muslim state that have taken that on and are doing that. So this could be a good solution out of it.
You know,
People should have more control of their own finances.
Yeah.
there's 14 countries in Africa. Now there may be down to 12 or 13. 14 countries in Africa that still use the colonial French currency.
Of course. It's called the francophone.
Yeah.
No, I know deeper than that.
CFA.
All of the former colonies of France in the continent of Africa, they are tied up in a banking system that was literally like the condition of them getting quote unquote independence. They literally have to forfeit 70% of their annual GDP in the French economy. They have to petition permission from the French government to withdraw their own assets.
The
just
French
disgusting.
the French central bank controls their
Yeah.
central banks.
Yeah.
They
Exactly.
have to ask for permission
For
from
permission,
the French
officially.
for access to their own money.
And it's not guaranteed that the permission will be granted.
What's crazy is that France doesn't use the CFA.
That's the
France
irony.
uses the euro.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the euro. That's true.
So again, they're giving them the shit coin.
No.
Sorry. And they're manipulating the money. France has the 5th largest gold reserves in the world. However, they have no gold mines. Where did they get that gold from? They looted it from Africa.
Yep.
Not a
Yeah.
lot.
If we sometimes I read sometimes reading is great, and then sometimes reading is depressing.
Have you ever read Adam Smith's book Wealth of Nations?
Yeah.
I think that's a requirement.
That's a
now,
requirement
for most
No, you'd be surprised how many people have never read or studied that book in college. And in my opinion, also one of the best books that is never taught in a lot of universities, Plato's The Republic.
Yeah.
Plato's The Republic details precisely centuries ago what I always tell people: freedom via democracy is an illusion.
It was a required book when fiqh was taught at Islamic seminaries all across the world.
Yeah.
One of my teachers, who passed away just about 2 months ago, Imam Yahya or Sheikh Yahya Misho, in Connecticut, he would always talk about it, that the Muslim inheritance is, of course, all of Plato's Republic, plus our scholarship.
Yeah.
Why? Because our scholarship looked at it, and many even said this came from a divine source. So, subhanAllah, he went that far into seeing it. So,
seems like sometimes life feels like we're living through a movie.
Life is a movie, and when we're on the day of standing, it'll be replayed like a movie.
And, sometimes you just feel like you're playing some character in a.
We are.
And like
Allah says the mundane life is the enjoyment of illusion.
I once said that at Jummah, during the Jummah khutbah, and one of the uncles came up to me after and said, "Beta, that's not a good thing." But I said, sometimes you just see life happening in front of you, and you just see it playing out, and you can't do anything.
Like what we're witnessing these carnage in Gaza and Sudan and Yemen.
The thing is that the Prophet says that if you see injustice, stop it with your hand, and if you can't, then speak out against it, and if you can't, then hate it in your heart.
That's the weakest of the three.
The weakest of the. So I think to myself, man, I can't stop it with my hand. I still have the ability for now to speak out against it. For now. But that is what they are trying to change.
Yeah.
They are trying to change so that you can
They're trying to
only hate it in your
criminalize.
heart.
They're trying to
So that you
criminalize
can't even
vocal
speak
jihad. Right.
against it.
Yeah.
And even that will be the weakest, but even think about the Muslim nations that don't even have that.
Yeah.
I'm on a college campus all across all this country. They're all people are trying to take that away.
This is why the Prophet said, recorded by Ibn Hibban, that's why Muhammad said, he was asked, what is the greatest jihad, the greatest resistance? He said, the greatest jihad, the greatest resistance is to speak the truth in the face of a tyrant.
Rayyan Hamdoushi
Part of the reason I go to Pakistan so much
Rayyan Hamdoushi
is because
from
I'm trying
New
to
Jersey,
figure
your
out
mother
where
is
did I
looking
come from.
for you.
Like, why am I here?
She's
Like,
upstairs.
I'm in America. I get it. My parents came here 35 years ago.
Rayyan
They gave up
Hamdoushi,
their family. They gave up
your
their friends.
mother
They
is
gave up
looking for
everything they
you.
owned and
Number
everything they
one
knew to come to a land
at the
that they didn't know anybody,
control
that
room.
didn't speak the language, that didn't have the
Thank
money,
you.
that didn't know a job, they didn't do anything.
They just had a rupee and a
and they
dream.
had
Bazaar
three,
is
and they had
closed.
3 sons
Now I request
that they were
everyone
desperately just trying
exit
to
the
put
Give them
through
a better
school.
life. Yeah.
Bazaar is closed. I
And
request
so I
everyone
go to
exit the
Pakistan
building.
to
Thank you.
rediscover where did I come from. You know, I asked my parents, I asked my mom. My mom told me that she was born in Pakistan and lived in Pakistan for all of her life until she came to America. She said she had never been to Lahore. She has still never been to Lahore. It's just the country that she came from.
Yeah.
But that is part of the reason why I go. I want to figure out where are my ancestors from. How did I get this skin color? Where did my my Nana was born in the house in which he died, and he pre-partition.
Yeah.
My Dada's name was written with a nameplate on his door with screws and painted over the years over and over and over, and I had to chip it away to try to peel it off. When my chacha passed away a few years ago, and the apartment is just sitting empty now.
Yeah.
So you try to rediscover what is going on. Why am I here?
You try to unearth your own history that
Yeah,
was
like
been
why?
buried over
What
time.
purpose has Allah Subhanahu wa Taala put me here for?
Right here, right now.
You're right here, right now. Like
That's our purpose.
You're a chaplain, I get it. Like you're a chaplain, I get it. I am a nobody, essentially.
No, that's not true.
I know. But like, I know. I'm an attorney in New York. I get it. You know, I have my own individual accomplishments and achievements. Fine, whatever. But like, in the sense of like, maybe, just maybe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put us here on this earth for something greater than just being an attorney in New York and just making money.
Yeah.
And having a little group on the side called Muslim Lawyers of New York. We have a group of 195 Muslim attorneys.
Well, you have to remember something, right? There is absolutely nothing wrong with.
So that's part of the. Sorry, that was why I travel to just discover what it is. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
In terms of maslaha, in terms of purpose, right? Because Allah says He created everything with purpose. That includes us, right? Allah created all of us with purpose. There is absolutely nothing wrong with earning a halal, dignified income, regardless of your field. There's nothing wrong with that.
I know, but like money.
No.
Money,
Listen, right? Having that career or having that job, right? We're supposed to use that to manifest our purpose, or to enhance our purpose. For example, Allah knows all of our like intellectual capacities, our intellectual aptitudes, right? I don't have the brain for Bitcoin or finance. I have the brain to empower people and help people in the darkest moments of their life. That's my purpose.
Different.
Everybody's different. And one of the problems with us is that we are addicted to trying to be like everyone else, as opposed to just finding what the hell we're good at and sticking with that and pushing with that. It's okay.
Too many things.
That's okay. That's okay. But you're focusing on what you're not good at. Stop focusing on what you're not good at and focus on what you're good at. Because that's where the reward from Allah lies, in utilizing what you're good at, pushing that narrative. Forget about what you're not good at.
Dialforlaw.com. 833 dial for law. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. For all your legal needs, dial for law. Injured, dial for law. Hurt at work, dial for law. Arrested, dial for law. For law, dial for law. For law, dial for law. 833 dial for law. Dialforlaw.com.
I think you guys are gonna be like regular guests on my podcast now.
I'm with it.
I always think that's interesting with what you're trying to acquire, what you're going to do with it. There's an awesome hadith of a Sahaba who comes up to Rasulullah and says, "I have nothing. I have nothing to
offer."
eat,
Right.
to
Yeah.
offer.
He thought he was worthless, right?
And Prophet told him, "Go to Rahman, he has money.
Yeah.
Like he's that wealthy. He can give it to you." He goes, "This is much of Rahman." And Rahman,
Yeah.
of course, loaded.
Yeah.
When he went to Medina, there would be like a full ground with Sheikh, an army with
Right.
just entourage.
Yeah.
And I see the Rahman like on the ground, like picking up random straws from the ground that maybe fell off an animal. And he's just like, I don't even do that. He's got less than I do. So he goes back to the Prophet. The Prophet goes, Abdurrahman, help me. He's like, he's got less than I do. He's like, go to Abdurrahman. He's got stuff. He goes back the time, and he sees him fixing his own slippers.
Right.
And he's just like, dude, I don't even do that.
Right.
So he goes back to the Prophet's license and says, like, Abdurrahman has less than I do. He goes, go to Abdurrahman.
Right.
Say, I sent you.
Right.
And so, man, I love you. Abdurrahman. I'm sorry to do this, but the Prophet sent me to you.
Right.
And Abdurrahman goes, okay, go to this valley. There's a bunch of my entire flock is over there. A herd of camels is there. Pick one, whatever one you want, take it. He's like, I can just take whatever I want. He's like, yeah. He goes and he tries, and when he takes one, all 300 start following. And he tries to take another one, and 300 follow. They all are like linked to each other. They won't stop following each other. And he's like, I don't know what to do. He goes up to the and goes, I picked this, but all of them came. He goes, just take them all. And I go, what? Take them all? And he's like, wait a second. How can you do this? He goes, what do you mean? He's like, just take them. I'm giving it to you. He goes, no, you were picking straws. You were fixing your own shoes. What's going on? I know. Statement is just so amazing. He goes, then I got to order a card yet. He's like, but when it comes to the akhirah, just give. He's like, I work hard here, but I can do this here. Something so beautiful about that. It's like what you were after, what was he willing to use it for when the moment comes.
Right.
So that'll be the key difference. Like if you're talented and making money, go ahead and do it. When the time comes for you to spend it on something more important.
So then convince Wyam to take my Bitcoin, man. The thing is, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Is the moment I talk about giving Bitcoin to people or any organization, the natural question that comes out of their mouth is, when can I sell it?
Wait, so Wyam still hasn't taken it from you?
Still hasn't taken it.
So the organization that I'm a part of, we have wallets for all the cryptocurrencies. And we take it and we keep it in there.
They won't take it. They believe that they should be entitled to sell it. And I said, then you're
because people are addicted. People are addicted to the quick flip.
That's what it is. Look, I believe there should be a universal policy by ICNA and YM that we should honor donor intent. If the donor tells you that my intent is for you to keep this, then keep it. And if the donor tells you that my intent is for you to use it, then use it. Or if the donor tells you my intent is for you to keep it for 5 years and then sell it, then do that.
Yeah.
But whatever the policy is, the policy should just be 3 words, 4 words. We honor donor intent.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you need to say. Why? Because then the donor, they are happy that you care about their intent. That you are appreciative for their gift and that you will honor their intent.
Yeah.
Right? And that makes them feel comfortable and happy that I'm giving to an organization that values me, that appreciates me, that appreciates this gift, and that understands the importance of this item to me when I give it to you as a waqf for you to keep. You see how basic what I'm saying sounds?
I think
Right?
What you
if
mentioned
sent it as a trust, I think there'd be that's what we have. So someone had done that. To
My
us. They
masjid
gave us a bunch of
has
Ethereum as a
has
trust.
Bitcoin, and they didn't believe in it, but I'm on the board of trustees of the masjid, so I can force it to happen. It's a little different, but I am not on the YM board. I can't force it yet, but I'm shocked. It's been 8 years. Imagine how a donor feels to repeatedly be slapped in the face and be told to your face, we will not honor your intent of the gift that you intend to give us.
That's not good.
Imagine, I told them, look, how much is ICNA's total budget? All the organizations, all the subsidiaries, all the everything. $100 million, right? If I gave you $100,000, it's a drop in the bucket. It's nothing.
pretty much.
What is it to you then to just honor my intent of my gift?
Because people have this mentality that once it's given, it's not yours no
for a
more.
while. It's Subhan derangement syndrome.
I don't know if I would go that far.
But some people, they just don't get it. Or they just have this personal thing that, if it's Subhan that's saying it, I can't be for it. But if Kaiser said it, then suddenly the same thing gets like...
People personalize things. Yeah.
And it's true because this is 12 years ago, and it's crazy. Like 12 years later, conversation.
There would be many moments in the shura which, of YM that this would happen. If I would have an idea, he'd tell me in private. I'd bring it up,
and it gets approved. And the moment it's like no.
But I would say Subhan derangement syndrome exists as much in your head as it does outside.
It does.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I don't know. It's kind of funny.
Still, right? 12 years later.
Yeah. SubhanAllah. Bob, this has been great.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming. I
Attention, brothers and sisters, Bazaar is closed.
I will bother you once every 6 months to be on the show. I will come to you. I won't even bother you.
Bazaar is closed.
I will visit you. Look,
Attention, brothers and sisters, Bazaar is closed.
Camera.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
In the future,
Tomorrow,
let's
8 a.m.
not have let's have like actual structure.
Inshallah.
This was just like a chop it up type of thing. Yeah.
And it will be like that.
Yeah.
We will always film probably for like Joe Rogan style 2 to 3 hours, and then trim down to
But you
a
like
1
segmented,
hour,
right.
1 hour that because we're gonna have a conversation that's me and you.
That's authentic.
That I'm gonna cut out.
Yeah.
That I can't put on there.
Right.
Because then I can't. That's not gonna be me in the future.
Yeah.
Right. So it has to be a long conversation that we dwindle down into that's how long form content has been growing. Right. So like the Joe Rogan 2-3 hour thing, and then you trim it down. I think that there is a market like this Thinking Muslim podcast. It blew up out of nowhere. All the people are trying to line up for his sessions, and he goes, "Move, Kaiser! Move, Jalal! Move, Sammy!"
I had breakfast with him on Wednesday. He's such a good guy.
I was chewing his ear off last night about Bitcoin. I gave him the Bitcoin standard. He hasn't gotten it. He, of all people, needs to get it.
Yeah.
I shook him last night. The same way I just shook you and I shook you. You need to get it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my calling. Maybe my job is to educate the Muslim Ummah on Bitcoin.
Could be.
Yeah.
Just talk to people and help them understand this.
I wanna sit in, because you've just been at this for a long time. The list of kind of apprehensions I have, even for myself personally, and also other people, I want to just like pick your brain.
Yeah. Let's do it, and we can do it with like educated actual Muslim Bitcoin people.
Yeah.
I'm like
experts in the.
I'm like a jahil, I'm like a printed text person. I read books, dude. Like,
So in other words, you're
in paper. No, in like paper form.
So in other words, you're
not in like digital form.
You're admitting that you're not jaiz to speak about Bitcoin.
No, not in that sense. What I mean by that is that like I'm an old school paper person. So
Yeah.
like you wanted to ask any technical questions or something like that, I need to get the real technical people. Look, I got into Bitcoin because Ahmed Bukhari told me all these things, and then I went and I saw it in person work. And once you get it to see it to work, I can figure out the rest because it works, right? It's like seeing the light. How does it work? I don't know, but it works, right? I can see the light. It works, right? So that's it.
I'm one of the technical ones who like
And I'll figure it
study
out.
physics and figure out how to-
I know they taught me and I understand most of the stuff. But like if you want a real technical answer, I got you on the technical people.
Yeah.
But like, it's you, Kaiser. I've known you for a long time. You need to get this.
Appreciate that. And let's do it. I want to sit down, pick your brain for a while, and then let's see who else we need to talk to.
Yeah, and then maybe
We
we
can
help
move in here.
create a. Maybe we help create a. We were planning on launching a Bitcoin Majlis endowment program for Masajid.
Yeah.
We're talking about a Gareth Bryant program, Bitcoin style. How would that look? That looks like let's say I gave a masjid one Bitcoin.
Good loan. Yeah.
They don't sell the Bitcoin. They go to a local donor and say to a local donor, hey, we have this asset worth $100,000. Would you give us a 0% loan for $50,000 for 3 years or 5 years? 5 years. $50,000 or $100,000 for 5 years. We'll repay you the term in 5 years, and if we do not pay you within 5 years, this Bitcoin is collateral. And we can create some sort of program where it's guaranteed in 5 years that the Bitcoin will go up in value.
Yeah.
And so the loan, just in case, will be only a fraction of what the Bitcoin terms is because we're locking it up for a 5-year period and there's no interest and there's a thing and you're getting a local community and so the Bitcoin Majlis is providing the asset as a collateral for a potential thing. You start hitting all the check boxes for a potentially fully Sharia compliant Islamic loan actual product.
Yeah.
No third parties, like third party institutions involved, just like a nonprofit or like a local Bitcoiner that's in your community. So like I could go to my community and say, hey, you have one Bitcoin, why don't you take, if you don't, I won't let you sell it, but I'll let you post it as collateral for a Gareth Bryant loan at 0% for 5 years. Get a local donor. That should be a pretty good program.
And if
you create let's say you create a 50% loan to value ratio, and I'm in the banking, credit, and debt sector, so I'm trying to see. I understand how these banking things work, right? So like I'm trying to see what's the most Sharia compliant thing that I could possibly do, where even I, who doesn't believe in loans at all, can be like, okay, this is pretty legitimate.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that a lot because a big component would be, is it definitely going to rise? And no one has a problem with it. On the other hand, when there are massive fluctuations,
5-year lock.
5-year locks would make it more. Because there never has been a period of 5 years where it has not increased substantially.